Hey folks, John from Complete Technology Solutions, your friend in the computer business. So I have been waiting on this one. Now, I got to tell you where I came up with the idea for this video. In all honesty, I didn't even know that this product even existed, and I feel kind of bad I didn't. But thanks to our old friend out there, and you all know him as the Last Game Hunter, I saw this on his channel, and it was kind of like in a passing little, not even really a review, just kind of like, hey, check this out. And I thought, you know what, I got to have one. Now, getting it was a little challenging. Let me show you what we got today. Here we go. All right, guys, so what we did is, the Glass Game Hunter does all kinds of things. His reviews and stuff, he's a little all over the place with different stuff. So this one was one of the random ones that just happened to come up that I saw, and I was like, gotta have it. You know me, old school gamer, always have been, always will be. That's just the way it is. So let me show you what this is. Now, everybody knows that if you were born anywhere in the 70s or such, one of the first systems that you were absolutely 100% going to be exposed to was the Atari. Now, you guys have seen, and I've done a lot of reviews on some of the handheld games and the smaller little plugins like the Atari Flashbacks and all that. In fact, we even did a retro conversion on one, if you guys recall. And if you forgot about that one, I'm going to go ahead and I'll post a link up here in the description for that conversion. But this one was different. I'd never seen it yet. So what we've got here, and hopefully Stumpy will be getting this image. I'm going to make sure. And there we go. Yeah, I want to tell you guys a little technical difficulty there. So, you know, we get the cheap little generic heavy-duty batteries, and I'll show you that. These are the ones that come from the dollar store. These are great in remote controls and in, you know, like for RC cars or for, you know, TVs or whatever. But for running a digital camera, not so much. So, yeah, it was funny. I was testing it earlier. And actually, I was going to do a whole video on this, on how long those lasted. And on this particular camera, they gave me about 7 minutes before it exhausted the battery. So, yeah, good battery's good, bad battery's bad. So, all right, back to it, guys. So what we've got here, inside this big empty box, is the Atari Flashback. Now, I don't know if this is X or 10. I'm assuming it's 10. And one thing that immediately drew me to this particular system, and hopefully Stumpy's getting a good view of that, most of these flashback systems had, you know, 20, 30 games on it. This has got 110 games built into it. Now, I did not look at this list, but there are a couple of them that I am a big fan of. Berserk, must have Berserk, no question about it. If it doesn't have Berserk, then it's not even on my list. Obviously, it's going to have Space Invaders, but Adventure, that's another one that seems to get left off all the time. So we're going to take a look at this and see what we've got in this box. And I've been really excited about this. Oh, check it out, guys. Now, I will tell you, this is not brand new. The guy that I got it from, he said it was used one time. He actually did a video on it himself and then sent it to me. Now, I don't know who he was, but all right, here's our instruction manual, which I'm assuming is pretty straightforward. One thing I do like about this one, now, this is right off the bat. Most of the other handheld systems actually plugged in composite, which means that you had to have a TV that would support that. And these days, it's getting harder and harder to find that. But this one has got an HDMI port, and that is a huge advantage. Looks like difficulty switches, and apparently they must actually function. 2 controller jacks, and are they? Yes, they are. Now, these are, once again, these are the 9-pin serial jacks. Now, that's interesting because, number one, they could have gone with USB on this, and there's no reason not to have, except to maintain originality. And it's got me wondering, I have got both a Retrobit generic with switches, I can hear that, and back up in here, I have actually got an original Atari, check this out, an original Atari joystick. Now this one, I got to tell you, I haven't done any maintenance on this yet, but I know for a fact that the bubble contacts on this are probably pretty worn down, so we may or may not use that one. Well, we may give it a shot, we'll see. So as you can see, I've got some controllers for this. In fact, I actually have been trying to source out a serial to USB so that I could use these controllers on the Raspberry projects. You guys have seen those before. So, all right, let's take a closer look at this. All right, so the system has, as expected, pretty much no weight to it. I mean, they're very, very light. It does have, as you can see, it's got an on and off switch here. It's got the difficulty settings. Oh, and you can actually, okay, So this is interesting. You can set the difficulty different between the right and the left player. Now, I'm assuming that allows you to handicap a little bit, somebody that's a lot better than you. That's kind of cool. Game select here, and game reset here. So really, they tried to stay relatively true to the original Atari. That looks like, and this is one of the things that caught me. If you guys look at Stumpy, I'm going to show you. See how the screen kind of glimmers, right? Well, when The Last Game Hunter was actually premiering this thing, that looked like an LED screen to me, and it should have been an LED screen. It wouldn't have cost them a whole lot more to put that in there, and that would have been neat, but we're going to see. We're going to see what's inside that in a second. So let's take a look at these joysticks. And, okay, now, right off the bat, all right, now I'm going to see if Stumpy can pick this up, but you probably can't. In fact, I'll put it up by my mic, too. See, there are no switches in there. This one, the actual Retrobit one, you can hear the switches. So when you hit the switches, it makes a noise. These are actually kind of soft, so I'm kind of curious to see what that does. On this controller, it's got all of the reset, start, rewind buttons and everything. That is very, very standard for these things. A lot of them are wireless, though, infrared, which I wasn't real fond of either, but I do like it. So this is obviously going to be player one. And it comes with a little 5-volt power supply, 5-volt 1 amp. So it wouldn't run a Raspberry. Well, it'd run a Pi Zero, but it wouldn't run a big Raspberry. Pretty cool. All right, so I'll tell you what we're going to do. Before we plug this in and play with it, I want to clean up the desk a little bit. We're going to open this up and see what actually makes it tick. Hang tight. All right, guys, so as you may have noticed, Stumpy has a new tripod. And I moved away from that little, now the little one with the bendy legs was kind of cool because I could actually clamp it up onto TVs and all that. But I like this one because I can get a much better down angle on my views here. So, all right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to take our regular old handy dandy iFixit kit. We're going to pull this apart. Looks like it's only held together with 4 screws on the back. And I know what you guys are thinking as I'm taking this apart. I know what's going through your mind. You're thinking, he's going to mod that thing in the future, isn't he? Well, we'll see. I am going to say that, and I'll show you this. Let me get these other 2 screws out. Based on what I'm seeing in the back, it would not be a difficult mod. It would be too small for probably either a 3. You might be able to get a 3B plus in there. I doubt it. Certainly not a 4. But given that it's an 8-bit Atari system, then you could go with a Pi Zero on that thing and have plenty of room to get to it. But if you look at the back ports, as you can see, those are pre-drilled. They're pre-cut for pretty much doing exactly what we do when we mod stuff. So we'll get back to that one. Stay tuned. We'll see. All right, so we got those 4 screws out. Let's open up this case gently. All right, and that is all there is to the inside, guys. And I suspected that was probably going to be the case. Now, as you'll recall, once again, the last time we did that Atari Flashback, we were able to tap into these buttons in order to activate the power switch, turn on and off, reset, all that kind of stuff, which is certainly possible, again, because those are simply, these are actually select switches, but these are momentary. So it would be real easy to actually tie into that. But the case does offer some interesting room for it. But that's it. That is all there is to it. That entire game system is on that one PCB with a ribbon cable. Pretty cool, right? I'm telling you, man, technology, it's a wonderful thing. All right, so let's go ahead and put this back together, and then we'll fire it up on the screen, have some fun. All right, guys, so hopefully I'm going to verify old Stumpy is on screen here and can focus on that because we are going about to get crazy here. All right, let's fire her up. Now, I am actually going to be using one of my power supplies from a regular Raspberry here. It shouldn't matter, in all honesty, but we shall see what we get. At games, all right. Here we go. Oh, looky there, guys. Let's make sure Stumpy's getting a good view of that. It's a pretty cool looking menu, pretty clean actually. So let's look down the list here. Now the controller, I mean, guys, I'm not gonna lie, that controller feels a little mushy. I mean, it is making contact, but you can tell there's a lot of play in it. So we'll play around with that in just a second. All right, so let's get an idea of what we got here. Now, first thing I'm curious about is, I wanna look at some of the settings on here. You can turn on the bezels, you can change the background. That's kind of cool. Let's do that. Looks like you can enable or disable background music, which is pretty cool. And there's a save state. Now, I do kind of dig that. For paddle games, oh, it's actually got paddle games, but we don't have a paddle. That means I'm assuming if you bought one, it would actually function with this perfectly, which is good. All right, Atari games. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look through the list here. Well, there's Adventure right off the bat. So we know that kind of clears up whether or not, let's see how quickly this launches. And we're going to play the game. And let's see what we get here. All right, now, this is the point where you would actually select your difficulty and any other settings that you wanted. I'm just going to go ahead and go with 1, and let's start the game. Okay, now this allows you to change the game presets, 1, 2, and 3. And what do we do to start here? Start. Aha! Now, as anybody who's ever played this game can tell you, I actually remember it relatively well. Remember, you had to have the keys to go through the doors. Actually, you know what? I think the first door was the other direction. All right, so Adventure looks to be running normally. Now, as any of you guys have seen, oh, we don't want that guy. Let's let the dragon go away. Without the sword, we can't do much with the dragon. There we go. That's what we wanted. Now we can do something with the dragon. As anybody who's ever seen Ready Player One knows, Adventure actually has one of the first Easter eggs ever built into a game. And it was an Easter egg by one of the designers named Warren Robinette. And I'll let you guys find the Easter egg yourself and do that. It's actually kind of cool. All right, well, we know Adventure works. So let's go ahead and let's reset this real quick. And let's go to, let's see, are we going to have to go back to the main menu, or can we hit menu? We can hit menu, and oh, look at that. It'll save the game. That's kind of nice. All right, so we're going to quit it. And let's go back and take a look at a few of the other games on here. All right, menu is to back. So one thing about it is clearly you have to use this as the primary joystick. Otherwise, you wouldn't have access to all those other menu buttons. So, all right, so we've got asteroids, bowling. These are all great. Let's go to page 2. Breakout Centipede. These are great. Circus Atari, one of my favorites, guys. I used to play that quite a bit. Crystal Castles. Everybody's got to have combat. That was included in pretty much every Atari. So, Gravatar. Now that didn't expect on there. Let's see here. There's the football, home run. Let's see. Human Cannonball, Outlaw, Missile Command. Now, if you guys, you know what? We're going to look at that, and I'll tell you why, because the sounds were so wonderful on this game. So let's take a look at this. And I'm actually going to bring the volume up so you guys can hear this. Because the volume was one of the things that really made Missile Command. By the way, and maybe somebody out there that watching this video will know this, I have noticed that anytime you're dealing with an emulated Atari, I do not recall this scan line being down the left side, and yet every single time I've worked with any kind of an emulation or any kind of system like this, it always has that. And I don't remember on my original Atari 2600 if it did. So if anybody noticed anything about that, let me know. Ah! That might have been a little crazy loud. We'll take it down a little bit here. All right. Let's see how she plays. Anybody remember this game? I actually used to be quite good at this game. And I want the here we go. Oh yeah, pretty cool, man. Pretty cool. All right, so we're gonna go back to our menu here. I gotta tell you, I like that save slots thing where you can save your status. That's pretty cool, because that's definitely something Atari lacked. All right, let's go back to the menu. And now with that audio up, you guys can actually hear that too. That's pretty cool. All right, so Haunted House, that was another really good one. Let's see here. Solaris, those are good. So, Tempest is a good one. Yar's Revenge, guys, classic, absolutely classic game. All right, so as we were talking about, one of the games I am not seeing on here, and this is going to drive me crazy if they didn't include it, is Berserk. Yep, and they didn't include it. Berserk was one of the greatest games ever. Let's check our paddle games here since we're here. And it looks like I did not know Blackjack was a paddle game. That's cool. Obviously, Circus Atari, yes, definitely Breakout. Looks like Warlords. That was the other one I was looking for. In that one, you know, that game is great, but you'd have to have a paddle to play it. So it's pretty cool. Yeah, it's a pretty neat little system, guys. I don't see any problem with it at all. I like the fact that it is coming out HDMI. Since we're here, hold on, I've just got to know if this will work. I'm going to plug in our Retrobit controller just to see if it'll even move the thing, see if they're coded the same on the pinouts. And they are. But you, okay, look at the difference in how that moves, guys. That's so much better. I mean, you can see how well that's moving. Look at that. So the controllers, not so much my favorites, but the rest of this, I really do. Now, if we play a game, like say we go to, let's just pick one at random here. Let's go to Millipede. All right, so you can hit fire to play the game, but without these buttons, I'm wondering if you can actually start it. So let's take a look here and see. Oh yeah, you can. So you don't necessarily have to have the buttons. But I suspect to get out of it, you're not going to be able to hit the menu button here. So you would literally have to either reset here or just power it off and back on again. Power it off, back on again. So yeah, if you want to use an authentic Atari controller, you certainly can, but that's going to be a problem. So pretty awesome, man. Pretty awesome. And I got to say, I really do very much prefer the feel of this controller. Wonderful. All right, well, let me get repositioned and we'll wrap it up. So pretty cool, guys. I got to tell you. I will tell you they're a little expensive because they're hard to get a hold of. That ran me about 60 bucks. And if I can find it again, I will drop a link to the Amazon site where I actually bought this, but it was the last one they had. So hopefully you'll be able to find it. So here are my thoughts, and I want to get your guys' opinion on this. Now, obviously, there's no question that this should have been an LED screen. There's no way around the fact that should have been LED. And I'm thinking mod. Now, I know what you're thinking. You just got it, play a little bit, have some fun with it. But give me your opinions, guys. Would you like to see this little system modded? If you would, drop comments down there in the comment section and let me know, because I have ideas. They're swimming around up here. You guys know me. So, well, thanks for watching. Great little system. Atari Flashback 10 or X or whatever it is. Fantastic. You couldn't go wrong buying this and playing this. Who can go wrong with Atari? They're wonderful. Well, stay tuned, guys. I got a big one coming up. Actually, it's one that's been in progress here for a couple of days. So once I get that finished, that one will come up sooner rather than later. If you will recall, we did a video where I did a Bake-A-Pie episode, and I did it into that antique clock. Well, that was hugely popular here. Well, last week, somebody bought the clock. So now I have to do something else. I wonder what I'm going to do creative. Let's see what I can come up with. Have a fantastic week and a great weekend. If you're in the area, come down here and see us at the flea market. Otherwise, we will see you on the next video. Bye-bye.